Hello everybody, welcome back to Future Fiber. This is your host Jenny, and this is a channel where I talk about all the crafty things that I do. It's mostly knitting. Today I'm back with another knitting podcast slash update slash whatever I was working on for the past month and a half that I was gone video. You know, I really hate to be that girl that talks about weather all the time, and I do this at work a lot too, because what else am I going to talk about with people that I don't even know? It's so hot that it's really sapped a lot of the energy that I had for knitting away from me. And there's still some summer knitting that I want to do, but at the end of the day, at some point just wearing knitted items is not very practical. And that's just the truth of it. If you want to hear my thoughts more on appropriate fibers, I have a video from last year that did pretty well about how I feel about summer. Today, I am wearing one of those summer knits that's actually low-key practical. Still, this is pushing it if it gets a little bit too hot, but today it's alright. This is the Tuileries Polo by Knits Pour Moi, and then I knit it in the Hikoo CoBaSi in white color. It's actually one of my favorite summer yarns because it has a good fiber memory to it, but it's not wool. It has zero wool to it, so it feels much nicer and it feels pretty dry on the skin, which is really nice. And then, you know, the design of the actual garment helps us a lot as well. You know, it's got all these holes, meshy almost, but not too mesh. But I have to be careful styling this because sometimes I feel like it veers a little too especially if I wear gold jewelry with it, it's a little yeah, I mean, you get it. Let's start with finished objects. We don't have a ton, but we'll start with a summer item because why not? We have a bucket hat. I know, it's bucket hat, summer, so original. If you've been watching me for a little bit, you know that I've tried to make bucket hats at least twice now. I think this is probably the third attempt. I just am really bad with crochet and I don't really want to knit a bucket hat, so I always end up doing crochet instead. But there were some problems with the top of the head being too large and me not matching gauge too well, and those problems still persisted. But the problems persisted, but so did we. So we have finished the bucket hat this summer. I've never been a bucket hat girly. However, I was recently turned on to bucket hats because I bought one actually that I like. And this is what I bought for the summer. I mean, it still doesn't look the best on me, but I like it for sun protection mostly. And if I don't want to put on sunscreen, then this is it. But I like that it's kind of, you know, it's not super tight and it covers my eyes. And that's what I liked about this guy that I bought on a whim. It's from Lululemon, but I don't know if they sell this. So I wanted to make a bucket hat that's kind of got the similar feel to it. And I think it's not bad for my first actual successful bucket hat. I know this is not very exciting, but it's exciting for me because I've never been able to do this in the past couple years of crocheting because I usually got sick of doing it or some other reason. But finally I have one that I finished, so we'll give claps for that. Even though I did a terrible job of following the pattern still, and it's not a good representation of the pattern. The pattern is a free Ravelry pattern, and it's the Equality Bucket Hat by Stephanus Axnanda. They actually recommend you knit or crochet this using raffia, which it'll probably make more sense because it will be less floppy. I just used cotton, a Michaels brand cotton. I'll put the name of the yarn here, but I just had some left over from making amigurumi. This is a free Ravelry pattern. I was looking at this pattern because I liked how it's basically open. But it also has the pattern of, I think it's supposed to be an equal sign. However, I did not follow the pattern very well, so the equal sign is kind of like that. So that's a little not the best. but it was like a fun little thing that I did. If you guys have any bucket hat patterns that you really like that are a little bit different, maybe one with like a lace or something, like let me know, because I would like more suggestions. But in the meanwhile, I am making just like freehanding one, and it's gonna be a basic one but with like using some leftover yarn. I'm gonna make a striped blue and white bucket hat if I ever finish, but don't hold me to it. Who knows if I'll even do it or even finish. So that's that on the little bucket hat adventure. So I do actually have a larger finished object. I don't know if I'm gonna try it on because it's a sweater and it's so hot right now that I can't really bear even to have this on me. But I finished the road sweater by Ozetta, and this is knit up using Hobie Winter Glow and held together with a Suri alpaca fuzzy yarn from Colourmart. This was one of those like longer term projects, my rotten bologna, moldy bologna sweater. But now that it's kind of done, it kind of also looks like Jupiter or something, which is nice. But some of the modifications that, oh, I did knit like size 3, the third one up. And some of the modifications that I made are just in the neckline. The original sweater neckline comes up higher, almost like a turtleneck / mock neck, but I just did it to a point where it would just cover, like if I was wearing a t-shirt underneath, to just cover that. And I don't think I made any other modifications aside from that. Everything was knit pretty much to pattern. The length should be the same as the pattern as well. And, you know, like a nice basic sweater. I like with these stockinette projects, I'm always kind of like, why do I bother like talking about these? But it's a nice pattern. I think if you don't love wide sleeves, maybe this won't be like your most, you might want to do a couple of extra ink decreases because the sleeves turned out kind of big, and because of the way that the rib portion is designed, it's always going to be a little bit wider. So that's just part of the sweater design, I think. So if you want more fitted sleeves, I would do more decreases. And the yarn overall, you know, it's got, I don't know where the prickly is coming from, if it's from the alpaca or if it's from the winter glow. I am inclined to say it's from the winter glow. However, this is not the most comfortable fiber blend. I like how, you know, like you can see that it's very light-ish, which is good. And I mostly did this for the color, so the feel of the sweater is not like my top priority. But if you were planning to buy the yarn, I think it's going to be like definitely a sweater or cardigan material, depending on your sensitivity, where you wear something underneath and then put this on. It's not going to be one of those like, it's going to be worn over my bare skin kind of sweaters, if you know what I mean. And I think that's part of the reason why I made the decision to not carry the neck up too high, because of the sensory whatever of that is probably not the most ideal. So I know that my sweater wasn't quite to gauge because I ended up knitting with a fiber combination that's a little bit more open than the original suggests. So I think if you knit this with like 100% wool, maybe it would be a little bit different. So I think if you want something like this, if you want something that's a little bit more like, yeah. Anyway, that's what I have to say about the road sweater. Good basic sweater pattern to have if you are interested in and in the market for another one. But I hate to say it, there are so many sweater patterns like this, you could probably improvise from something that you already have. Drop shoulder. Side note, but I hope the mic is working well because I dropped this mic into deviled eggs. It's a long story, but I took it to my friend's house and then she had deviled eggs and then the camera fell into the deviled eggs. So should probably wash that mic cover. That's all the finished objects. I don't have a lot in that sphere today. I have some, to me, exciting updates on these long time work in progresses. I'm sure you guys also get sick of like hearing the same thing over and over again. So I wanted to make some sort of like meaningful, interesting progress before I, filmed one of these videos again. But I do want to talk about my zipper cardigan / Patagonia Retro X copy / whatever jacket. So last time you saw, it had no collar and now it has a collar. And I think that's very exciting because look at this. Okay, it's not perfect and I will go over why it's not perfect, but I think the effect is there, no? Dude, look at the effect. Do you see the vision? Is the visioning? Is the boots standing on business? Business standing on boots? Boots are on business. Okay, anyway. Now I'm really going off the rails with the zipper cardigan pattern. So I'll leave it down in the link below. It's by Cookie the Knitter originally, but I'm basically not following the pattern anymore. So although a lot of the techniques for like the button band and stuff, or zipper covers for that, the facings. But before I overheat and die, let me quickly explain to you what I did. So I picked up, so the detail here, the piping detail is to mirror the end of the bottom of the jacket. So we have folded over row of light blue here. This is just stockinette 4 rows, and then you kind of like pick up and knit the bottom edge to where the blue stockinette started, if that makes sense. So fold it over and sewn, kind of. And then from there, you pick up and do a 3 stitch I-cord with this darker blue all the way around. So that's what I did here. Once we got to the I-cord portion, so the darker blue I-cord, I knew that from the I-cord, I wanted the collar to go up from that row of stitches. And if you do the I-cord, it's like you're binding off, so you're losing the stitches, and I didn't want to like pick up again. So what I did before I started the I-cord is from this lighter blue, I kind of like did a row of increases where I did knit front back for every single stitch all the way around. And like in retrospect, you can see the collar kind of flares out. I think I like picked up too many stitches or added too many stitches. So I probably could have done like knit front back 3 stitches, skip 1, knit front back 3 stitches, skip 1, kind of like that, but it's not the end of the world. So once I finished doing the increases all the way around, I took 2 spare like needles, circulars, and then I split the stitches into the 2 needles. The stitches that are in the front, I bound off using I-cord, and then the back, I had on scrap yarn, and then I knit the rest of the collar from that. Does that make sense? So I started knitting back up in Plotulopi. Oh yeah, yarn, Plotulopi, 2 different light gray and medium gray, kind of held together throughout this entire thing. Oh my god, I'm so hot, I'm sweating. Okay, I gotta take this off. The collar is basically Plotulopi up, and then from the last like 3 rows or something, I switched to, this is Drops Boucle, and I did like 2 rows, and then I did a row of purl stitches so that it folds over, and then if you see the inside, you can tell that the rest of this is boucle. And then I bound off and kind of sewed on I sewed down the collar, but you can tell that I have a couple of stitches like on hold here, and also here I have some stitches on hold, so that from here I can knit down the zipper facings. So that was the work that I did. It doesn't seem like a lot, but it was like quite a bit of knitting, and it was using a little bit of brain power, so it was interesting and fun. I do think that the collar is too wide, but I am hoping with blocking and then putting in a piece of elastic, or maybe I can even go a little bit more like tech wear-ish and put in those bungee cords. What are those called? Where you have like almost like a bungee cord and then you have like a stopper that you can adjust, you know? You know what I'm talking about. Oh, this picture right here. That guy, hoping I could put that on the top and it'll help me kind of like cinch in the top of the neck. I tried to kind of like counteract, you know, the flaring by, I don't know if you can tell, but I tried to do some decreases on the neck as the collar was going up, but it didn't help. So, you know, it is what it is. But I still think it's nice. And then when it flips over like the shoulder, and you're not going to have this zipped all the way up all the time. It kind of folds over naturally and it looks pretty good. And the inside, like, it's not the nicest, but it's also not like the worst. If this kind of like difference in colors and stuff, if that bothers me, I could put in like a ribbon that will act as like a bias around the collar, and it'll probably give it a little bit more support, a structure as well. But for now, I think this is fine. So now what we got left to do is sleeves, and then I have to add pockets. So I'm thinking we'll have like pocket on the chest, one pocket on the chest, and then I don't know what to do. I really should have thought this through a little bit more. I wanted like vertical pockets, but then like if I knew that I wanted vertical pockets, I should have done the vertical pockets like as I was knitting down the body, but then I wasn't thinking that far, so I might have to steek the pockets, which seems like a lot of freaking work. And I don't know if I want to do that. So if you guys have any other suggestions of what I should do with the pockets, or if I should just not do pockets because this is a knitted garment, what if it's gonna like just weigh it down? Anyway, suggestions are appreciated as always. That's the update on my zipper cardigan jacket thing. It's coming along, you know. By winter I'll have some. I think the last episode I showed you the swatch for the wedding cardigan that I wanted to make, and I don't know what I did to it. Oh, I've made quite a bit of progress. This really flew off the needles because I can't tell what I did. Like, I can't remember if I showed you this at all or if I just showed you the swatch, but we've come quite a long way, as you can see. Oh my god. I found out that this is called, okay, I might be wrong, but I heard that this lace pattern is called Lily of the Valley, which I guess makes sense because it's kind of like, you know, the flower. Anyway, this pattern is the Kielo knitted cardigan, and it's a free pattern that was released by Navita. The designer is Essi Kyllönen, so you can find this pattern for free on the Navita website, or if you look it up on Ravelry, it'll take you there, and I'll also have a link. What should I talk about with this guy? So what I have so far is the majority of the body, and you can see that I've seamed up the shoulders. It's knit bottom up. I have a couple of jingly like stitch markers here, so I'll just put this down in a little bit once I show you what I'm talking about. But I've started on the sleeves is the end of it, and when I cast it on with provisional stitches, so you can tell there, and I used a crochet provisional method. And once I am done with the sleeves, I will try and pick up the bottom of this and try and decide what I want to do for the bottom. I started with the provisional cast on because I knew that I didn't want the rib that's recommended in the original pattern, but I couldn't make up my mind. So once I finish the sleeves, I'll have a better idea of what I want to do. But I'm definitely going to be able to finish this in time. I am getting married at the end of September, so I still have a little bit of time. Although, like, I'm realizing the time is definitely running out because I'm also trying to DIY a bunch of other things. I need to get a move on, basically. So I'm gonna put this down because it's jingling, and then we'll talk about what I've been doing for this. Yeah, the yarn this is lace weight alpaca yarn from Colourmart. and I'll link it if the link is still alive, but it may be out of stock. But I've been knitting this together with Knit Picks 100% silk yarn, which is called Luminance, and I have a little bit of that here. And this guy is 100% silk, but it's not the type of like smooth silk that you would get from like, not smooth, how do you describe it? Like kind of like, it feels more like cotton, and it's like pretty like shiny. It's not that kind of silk. It feels a little bit more like wool in the way that it has this like a little bit of halo to it. But the nice thing about it is that it still has that like sparkly, hence the name Luminance. And this is just in the colorway white, which is named Purity. I think I mentioned in the last video that this is something that I've been wanting to do for a little while, but now I am making something that I will hopefully have a chance to wear at the wedding. If not, I mean, who knows? It's not really the end of the world, but I just wanted something white, like a white lacy cardigan, and this is what's fitting the bill. Although I almost feel like I want, once I finish this and if I like the fit and everything of it, I want a summer version. I would use non-halo-y fibers, you know? Like use something that's still a little bit like, has a sheen to it, but maybe it's like a thinner cotton or maybe not linen, viscose, something blend, so that you can wear it in the summer. Because I think one of the, I mean obviously here, one of the good things about something lacy is that you can wear it without overheating too much. So I think it would be nice if I had some like a summer equivalent, but for now we're working with the fall wedding equivalent. But I think this is my first time, no, this is not my first time doing all over lace, but this pattern, it looks a lot more complicated than it actually is. I mean, granted, I did, you know, fuck up like 7 times as I was doing this, but most of the most of the mistakes are like concentrated on the sides, so I'm like, whatever. I will say that as much as I had fun doing the pattern, the way that the free Navita pattern is written up, well, first of all, it doesn't have a ton of sizes, so that's really a bummer. I am knitting the small medium size, which is like the second size, but given that it's lace, it has a little bit of leeway in how you can modify the sizing and stuff. But this, while I really like the pattern and I've knit it up pretty quickly, this lace pattern, lace chart, the bobbles are really annoying because the bobbles here are using crochet hooks, and it's just like very unwieldy to have like 2 sets of knitting needles, and then on top of that you're having to like maneuver a crochet hook. So I don't know what the solution would be to that, but if people have like other methods of making bobbles that they like, I'm past the bobbles, by the way. The bobbles are only on the main body. The bobbles aren't on the arms, which I think that makes sense. Like the arm, especially underarm, is going to have more movement, and you don't want the bobbles like rubbing up against each other or anything. But if people have a knitted bobble method that they like, I would love to hear about it, because the crochet bobbles, while they look good, they look like little berries. I don't know if you can tell. Yeah, this guy over here. They look really round and puffy and nice, but the knitting experience was not the best. So what I'm thinking is probably going to be I-cord for the neckline and the button band and the whatever this is, cuff, and the bottom of the cardigan. But don't hold me to that. Buttons and finishings, I think it'll be really nice if I got like mother of pearl buttons that kind of mimic like the bobble shapes on the Lily of the Valley pattern. So that's what I'm planning. That's what I'm thinking. My wedding dress also has like pearl elements to it, so it could kind of fit. Maybe it's too much pearl. I don't know, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's not that serious. And I have a new cast on as well. And this is a pattern that you've seen before, actually, but the yarn is very different from what I used to knit the first garment with the pattern. So this is the Cognac cardigan by Atelier Castin. And I actually test knitted this cardigan, I think last year. But what I am doing this time around is making kind of like a summer version. You can see, hey, like you can kind of like see through it, which is cool. I know that like the weave or the fabric of the pattern is always meant to be a little bit like less dense. And so the first version of the Cognac cardigan that I have is a thick mohair held together with a fingering weight wool. So it's definitely meant to be like a winter fall cardigan, but I wanted a summer version. I actually started this with the yarns first. So these two yarns were actually bought separately, but I kind of put them together and then they looked good. And then I wanted some sort of like a summer cardigan, so or summer top. That was long sleeves. That's why this happened. But the sparkly yarn. Oh my god, look at that. The sparkly yarn is Ito Kingin in the color pink blue. So you can see that it has this like silver blue, light blue base, and it has these pink and blue metallic flakes in it. Tweedy almost throughout. And that's what gives that kind of like sparkly dimensional look to it. And it's held together with Cascade Ultra Pima in the colorway Alaska Sky. And it's just this kind of like light blue, very like true baby blue almost. I mean, we all know I like blue. So it was kind of a no-brainer, but the Ito sparkly yarn, the Kingin, I definitely bought on a whim. I bought it from Downtown Yarns, and then they had like, it comes in cones obviously, and then they had like 3 cones or something, 3 or 2 cones, and I was kind of like, what the heck am I gonna use this for? But then I ended up buying it, and this is how the cardigan idea was born. And if you put it together, you can, I have a video of it in the sun that will maybe show it better, but it has this like very like slight iridescent quality to it. It kind of looks like mermaids. It's very nice. Although like I wonder almost if this is like is it giving Claire's too much? I'm not actually sure. We'll have to finish the cardigan, we'll see. But that's part of the reason why I chose the Cognac cardigan pattern, because I wanted something basic. Because the yarn is so flashy, literally, it's flashy. So I wanted a summer cardigan that had almost like a net-like feel because it's hot. I wanted like a lighter, drapier fabric. So the Cognac cardigan, the pattern uses US 10s. Are these 6mm? 5.5? No, they use 6mm needles, so it goes pretty fast. And to make a tight fabric, I probably needed to knit the whole thing in like 5s or like 4.5s, but if you use a 6, it's kind of like see-through, drapey, which is what I wanted. And I know from experience that Ultra Pima especially evens out pretty well after wash. So even if my net texture knitting isn't the best, it'll kind of like sort itself out in the wash. So that was like another reason why I kind of chose that. And I think it's looking pretty good, right? The yoke increase for the Cognac cardigan is super fast. Like you'll probably get it, if you're a fast knitter, you could probably get it down in like a day or 2. But you know, with any cardigans, the body part kind of drags, which is where I'm on. I probably have like an inch or 2 more before, or probably like 2 more inches before I have to think about what to do for like the ribbing. My version of the Cognac cardigan had regular 1x1 rib. The original pattern has twisted 1x1 rib or I-cord. So I'm wondering if I should just do an I-cord, you know? I think summer cardigan, an I-cord might look better than a rib, but we'll see. We'll, you know, get to that point and make the decision. I never know what I want until I actually get to the point where I have to, you know, it comes down to the wire, so to speak. And, you know, I don't think it would look bad as like a short sleeve cardigan either. I'm pretty sure I have enough yarn to make it long sleeves, but if I ran out of yarn for some reason, then I guess it could be short sleeves too. And it could be a little like bolero cardigan moment. But that's my new cast on that I've made decent progress on. I think that's all the updates that I have for the work, the stuff that I'm knitting. A lot of this is not really like transportable. I don't know how this happened, but a lot of the stuff that I've been working on this year has been like holding yarns together and doing a bunch of fiddly things and cones and big balls of yarn. So I haven't been able to like really knit on the move in a while. I feel like maybe I need to come up with a little smaller project that I can carry. But I have some more acquisitions from over the past couple of months that might be fun to talk about. So this, okay, I got this while I was in Kingston, Yarn Farm, Kingston, but I don't know why I thought this was going to be a summer fiber. It's not. It's 50% recycled wool and 50% tencel. This is from the Barn Yarn, and they are a local-ish dyer. This is, yeah, fingering weight, and then there's 383 yards in one of these guys, 100-gram skeins. And the color is called Mint Condition, and I have 2 of these, I think, yeah. And I think I bought 2 because I wanted to make some sort of like a short sleeve top, but I think I bought only this much because I thought this was going to be a summer fiber, and then I just realized that I bought recycled wool. I think I grabbed the wrong one. Because they had the whole brand stuff, like I think they also had a summer fiber yarn that they had like together, and then I just assumed they were all like of the same composition. I guess I was wrong. This is why it pays to read. Too bad I'm illiterate. But this, I have 2 skeins of this, and it's kind of like this minty color. Did I already say that I got my color analysis on? I did. And then they actually suggested mint for me as like a color to try. I don't have a lot of mint. I like mint as a color. I just don't have a lot of mint stuff. So that's part of the reason why I got this as well. But I'm like, now I have to think about what to make. I don't want to stripe things again. I'm in a stripey mood, I will be saying. Like, I do be in that stripe mood. I bought like a stripey t-shirt. I have been wearing my stripey sweater a lot. But I'm sick of striping. And I'm sick of alternating yarn colors like that. So we'll see what to do with this. Maybe this could be like a Maggie cardigan or something. By Petite Knit, like a short sleeve cardigan. Although I think the Maggie cardigan uses a lot of yarn. It's definitely more than like 800 yards, so TBD. But that's my souvenir yarn for the summer. And then summer sales got me like. Summer sales really did get me like. Okay, so Maker's Mercantile. I think I've ordered actually CoBaSi from them before, and they were having a, it's like their 12 days of making or whatever sale. They were having a sale on Hikoo CoBaSi, so I stocked up because we just talked about how it's my favorite summer yarn, and while the summer is fading fast, it's still hot as balls, so I wanted to make something that was kind of... So I have a couple of things. Well, I bought 2 colors. One is this yellow guy, and this is in the color Way Buttercream. Although I will say it's a little bit more yellow than I thought. Like I was expecting kind of like a lemony yellow, because like when you think buttercream, I feel like this is just like Kerry Gold butter, you know what I mean? Like it's like super gold. This is like El Presidente. But I feel like a buttercream is a little bit more like, you know, a little bit more whitish. So I was a little shooketh when I got this out. It's a little bit more banana. I don't know. So I don't know if this is like the best for my skin tone, but I was hoping to make some sort of t-shirt or top from it. Cardigan maybe, butter yellow cardigan would be really nice. Clearly I didn't think that much through it. I bought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 skeins of this. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it can't hurt to have this yarn. Well, for me, it can't hurt to have this yarn because I'll eventually use it for something. But I also bought this color. This is Iris Blue. And I bought 3 skeins of this. And I bought this because I wanted to make the Tuileries top. This is a Tuileries polo by Miss Pima, but she also came up with a Tuileries top, which is a full button down, kind of like vest kind of deal. It's a sleeveless top with buttons down the front, but with this like lace pattern, which I thought would be really nice. I don't really love to wear those sleeveless tops, but I figured it could be a good layering piece. And the original sample is kind of made with this like bluish color too. I just thought it would be nice to have, you know, like it looked really nice on the model, the designer, so I wanted to have one of my own, which is why I got these to basically cop the fit. So we're gonna have Tuileries top, Tuileries polo. There's also a Tuileries cardigan, which look, if it was a round neck, listen bro, I would have been all over it, but it's a v-neck. Your girl doesn't really do v-neck cardigans at the moment, so that's why I did not buy the pattern, but you know, maybe if there's a round neck modification that is doable, I might catch them all. So that's what's happening in the yarn acquisition side. And I also got this bag, which I got because I wanted to be a basket bag girl, like giving Jane Birkin Jane Birkin realness serving. But this was also like a vacation bag that I got. But it's been really good for like holding yarn. It fits a lot of yarn, and also like you can, the biggest perk of it is that these like spinny yarn holders, you can just put the whole thing in here. And then it sits flat on like the floor and stuff, so it's been really good. It's like a little too expensive for just to buy as a yarn bag, but you know, I'm sure you can get basket bags anywhere. So this is from Palorosa though. They make a bunch of different sizes, so if you're interested, basket. That's it. Yeah, girls, you know, just persisting and surviving through the horrors of this year and summer, like I'm sure all of you are. Hope everybody's staying cool. I've worked in a remote role, like a remote job for such a long time, and I feel like I worked mostly at like startups too, so a lot of my cultural experience or my professional experience has been like relatively homogenous groups of people. So I work at a slightly bigger company now, and you really experience, you know, like the breadth of humanity. Very interesting. It's both good and bad because we have the pros, like you get to work with people from different backgrounds. You know, tech or startups tend to be relatively homogenous, as I said. However, you'll also get the worst bits of working with large swaths of people, which is that, well, first of all, that I have to go into an office, and maybe this is giving hashtag young baby girl of me, but I'm like, I don't know why we return to the office. Like, let the people that work better in the office work in the office, but I'm like, I have to be on video Zoom calls every single day in the office anyways, so to me it does not seem worth it for me to have to spend 40 minutes on the train going there and then 40 minutes back. However, that is none of my business, and it really is fine, except you get very interesting people where I think people forgot, I mean including me, forgot what it's like to exist in like a public space. You know what I mean? Like I am feral outside, pero some of these other people are even more feral. Like I saw this guy sitting in a desk. Also, we don't have assigned desks. We just sit wherever. But this guy sat at a desk, and then he wore Crocs to work, which is like, I'm like, do whatever you want, like wear whatever you want. But I think there is a boundary and a line that crossed into the ether when my guy took his dogs out of his Crocs and then rested them on top of his shoes like this. And then like, so through his like hall under the desk, you just see him going like this with his dogs. And I was like, oh, perhaps we were not meant to be let outside, actually. Let us go back to our caves. So anyway, that's a little bit of tidbit of what's going on in my life right now. It's really fun and slay. Not a lot of knitting. But I'm becoming an anthropologist of the world. Okay, well, I hope everyone's having a great day, enjoying your summer. Get yourself some Aperol Spritz if you are a girl of drinking age and preference. If not, get yourself some nice lemonade, which I am also craving. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Hopefully the next one will be a pattern recommendation video, which I've been meaning to do, pero I just have not had the time. Oh, speaking of that, if you have favorite shorts patterns that you like, send them my way. That's the sneak preview. That's not the sneak preview. That's the topic of the pattern roundup. So let me know. Okay, bye. See you guys later.